Hi, my name is Edward Stevens, and I am the owner and founder of Stevens Tutoring Solutions. And today I'm going to be talking with you about finals week, because chances are you are going into a finals week. This is the last week of regularly scheduled academic programming, and you are going to go into finals week. Some of you might only have a couple finals. If you're in college, you might have finals scattered out the entire week, and this might be hell week for you. And so this is going to give you a few tips and a few strategies, a few tactics to do the best job that you can possibly do this week. Make sure every single ounce of your effort counts so you can get the grade you want. Now, I want to dedicate this to all the students out there who have an 88% in a class and who want an A, because an 88% is where I hung basically my entire, almost every math class or every science class. It seemed like I had an 88% going into the final, and I had to perform spectacularly in order to get an A. So I feel your pain, I absolutely feel your pain, and this one goes out to you. Now, the first thing I want to do is talk about the most important thing, which is having a goal. Know what you want to get in the class. Some people don't know what they want to get in the class, so they never get what they want in the class. If you've defined that you want to get an A, you want to get a 90%, you have to commit to that. So be one of those people that commits to getting the grade that you want to get. Say, I will have an A in this class. Come hell or high water, I'm getting an A in this class. The next thing you want to do, after you've decided that you need to get an A in this class, you want to get an A in this class, or a B, or a whatever, meet with a teacher, the teacher whose class that's in, and tell them that you want this particular grade in the class. I have done this numerous times. I remember I was in Calc 3, for example, when I was in college, and I met with my teacher and I told him, I know I only have an 86. I want an A, I need an A, and what do I have to do to get an A? And we sat there and we figured out, I need to turn in this past assignment, and I need to redo that assignment, and I have to get this percentage on the test come finals, and it worked. It ended up working because he has the authority and the power to make sure that if I fall on my end, he puts the grade that we agreed to in the grade book. Make sure you do that. Make sure your teacher knows that you're working hard. Next, like I said, complete any missing assignments. If you have missing assignments, you want to make sure that you've got them completed for twofold, not just because you have zeros in the grade book, but because almost indefinitely, if you have not done an assignment, Murphy's Law says that that question that you didn't do on that assignment that you missed because you were sick will be on the test, and you get burned twice. So think about it. Every time you go back and do an assignment that you've missed, every problem that you do is worth 2 times the points, because you get the points on the homework assignment and you get the homework points, you get the points again on the test. That makes sense? Hopefully it does. Get the right amount of sleep is the next one. Now, I'm not saying sleep a lot. There's a difference. Most people either sleep too little or they sleep too much going into the final because they're stressed out. And I know when I was taking college courses and when I was in high school and even in middle school, I had finals coming up, I stressed out. I was one of these people who was stressed out of my mind, and I couldn't sleep. And even when I was asleep, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I got a test coming up. I shouldn't be asleep, I should be studying. And then when I'd get up and study, I'd be tired. And the first thing I want to do is 10 minutes in, I'd want to close my eyes for a minute and take a nap. Understand sleep patterns. There's a graph, it's more of a chart that I'll provide, and it's in my Facebook group, and I'll share it with you. And it shows you the proper amount of sleep to get for different results. For example, a 20-minute nap is great for you. It helps improve memory and metabolism. A 30-minute nap is bad for you because it leads to grogginess. An hour-and-a-half nap is great for you. But I think there's different time intervals, and they actually do a wide range of things depending on what time interval you're sleeping in. Also, watch what you eat, because, again, what you eat right before the test is going to have a major impact on you. If you eat something sweet, really, really sweet, and you're not used to sweets, you could have a blood sugar crash and you could just kind of be sitting there zoned out, thinking like, oh my gosh, what did I eat? I ate this hamburger and chili fries, and oh my gosh, I can't perform on this test. You have a clouded mind. Don't drop the ball on the 1 yard line with something like that. I know I used to not eat the day of the test until that test was over because I was so stressed out. Do I recommend that? Probably not, but it worked for me. Get an emergency study group together. So if you don't have at least 3 people, or 2 people, I would say at least, 3 would be ideal, that you can call or text or get together with the day before the test, 2 days before the test, to bounce any questions off of, even verbally, you have to get that. You have to get that immediately. Get it right now. Go meet up at a Starbucks. Go meet up at a Barnes & Noble. Go meet up at a friend's house. Go meet up at a library. And just have conversations, verbal conversations like, drill one another. Oh, do you know how to do that? Do you know how to do this problem? Do you know how to do this problem? I want to make sure that you know how to do this problem. You explain to me how to do this problem. I'll explain to you how to do this problem. I don't know how to do this problem. Can you help me? Can you help me? It accelerates the learning process so much, and it keeps you from feeling all stressed out and being like, I got to find this in the back of my book, and I got to look at some notes on how the teacher did this, and you're doing that the night before when you should be focusing on getting rest and just review and not being in stressed out mode. For all of those people out there who are cramming, I would say sleep in shifts. And by that I mean, if you got a test and you know you're not ready for it and it's at 9 a.m. and it's 8 p.m. the following night, I say sleep an hour and a half, get up, study for 3 hours, go to sleep for an hour and a half, get up, study for 3 hours, and just keep doing that until it's test time. That has got me out of numerous predicaments where I've been in college and I've been up against the wall on a test and I'm like, I don't have enough time to study for it, so I just, rather than pull an all-nighter, which is what a lot of students did, then they show up tired for the test and can't perform, I sleep in shifts. That way I've got some sleep going into it and I was able to also study. Best of both worlds. And work all of your old tests. So a lot of teachers don't provide tests anymore. They hold on to them for some weird reason. I still don't understand that. But if you have tests, if your teacher's not one of those weird people who holds on to all your tests, get your tests together and work through the problems. Work through them over and over and over again. So go through your first test, go through your second test, go through your third test, go through the fourth test, your midterm, and everything. Make sure you understand everything that's on those tests, because those tests are going to contain probably 90% of what's on the final. If it wasn't important enough to show up on the test that you took before, it's probably not important enough to show up on the final. Some students always ask, well, what's going to be on the final? And the teachers don't like to answer that question, because if you were paying attention in class, you would already kind of know. And if you would follow my rule, which is, if it's not important enough to be on a test, it's not important enough to be on a final. You'll be okay. If you've already worked through all the tests, I would go through old homework assignments that you haven't quite understood and make sure that you brush up on any of that stuff, but focus on the tests. The last 2 things I want to talk about are primarily for taking math and science courses. If you're taking a math or science final, I have a lot of experience in this department. As an electrical engineering graduate from Missouri University of Science and Technology, whatever, Rolla, I can tell you that I have taken a lot of finals and a lot of exams, and I have watched so many kids struggle and get burned on the final to the point where it's almost hilarious. Something about batteries on finals. Batteries can sense that there's a final coming up and they all die. Everybody's calculator dies on the final. So put fresh batteries in your calculator the night before. Bring extra batteries that are new batteries for the final, and bring a spare calculator. Do those 3 things. You cannot have enough backups in this department. I had batteries fail on me in an electronics class that I was taking, and it was brutal. It was brutal, and you don't need that in your life. So bring plenty of batteries. And if your teacher allows you to make a crib sheet or like an equation sheet, sometimes if you're in Physics 1 or Physics 2, or you're in chemistry and you got a ton of equations you got to memorize, like Chem 2 was really tough. Chem 3 was tough. And you get a crib sheet, put some care, put some tender love and care into making that crib sheet. Some people, it's an art. It really is an art form. Putting the little equations, maybe color coding them, putting them in different spots on the page and cramming as much information on there as you can possibly do that. I'm not even going to go into how to make a crib sheet because that's almost an entirely different subject on its own. But all I'm saying is if you have if you're allowed to get a crib sheet, take some time. Don't make it a last minute effort. Take the time, maybe it's 2 days out from your final, and start making it. As you're going through your tests, as you're going through your homework, as you're going through and studying, put the equations on the crib sheet in an organized fashion. Okay, in conclusion, I just want to let you guys know that I'm pulling for you. Every single one of you. My current clients, my current students, as well as my future clients and students and people out there who I may never meet. I'm pulling for you. I hope that you understand that there's nothing that your teacher can ask you that is bigger than you, I should say. Make sure that you understand that if a positive mental attitude is kept during the final, you'll do way better. And like I was trying to say, but I was tongue-tied, you are much bigger than anything your teacher can ask on the test. Succeed, do well, make me proud, contact me with any feedback or if you'd like my services, and we'll talk to you soon. Hope to hear from you. Rate me. Bye-bye.